I have 4 words for you: chocolate, sheepy, pan, cake. Hello shepherds, welcome back. And if you're new here, hello. This is where we talk all things sheepy. My name's Megan, and today my youngest wanted some chocolatey pancakes. So let's get started. For a fun topping, I also was asking him what type of topping they like. Usually we go for a chantilly or extra fancy style whipped cream. And so I was like, maybe chocolate syrup, but they kind of prefer cream. So for dessert toppings, I wanted to try a type of ermine buttercream. So in our saucepan, we're going to be cooking around 1.5 cups or 349 grams of sheep's milk, as well as adding in around 6 tablespoons or 40 grams of flour. I like to sprinkle my flour over our milk when making any types of roux or anything like that. I really find this really helps to prevent clumps that may occur. So over medium heat, we're going to be stirring continuously. I had read how ermine isn't too sweet, but also used traditionally in areas where there is a need to kind of stretch butter or not have too much of a heavy butter kind of whipping cream or Cool Whip type of topping. So I thought this was really perfect because to me, sheep butter in particularly is precious. So stirring often, our mix should really thicken up a little to almost pudding consistency. And then we're going to add in our sugar, so around 1.5 cups or 313 grams, and our salt, which I'm using just a pinch. And we want to continue to stir this in. It'll change colors a little bit, but we really want to thicken up our cooked milk over a course of about 10 minutes. We want it to boil some, and that's so that we can cook all of that flour flavor out. You can actually sample it now if you're curious. If the raw flour flavor is cooked off, it'll taste clean and fresh. Otherwise, it'll really taste like flour. So now our base is ready. I'm going to pour it into a heat-proof pan to cool, and then cover up with some parchment paper. If you have cling wrap, you can use that too. And then we're going to go and pop it off to the fridge to chill. Okay, so now that our base is well chilled, let's go ahead and cream our sheep butter, just till it's fluffy a bit, and then slowly add in our cooked milk base. It may look a little curdled at first, but it should whip out. And lastly, we want to add in our vanilla, around 1 tablespoon or 8 grams. As it is now, it's perfect, but I'm going to go ahead and add this to our piping bag to use later on. I find it really helps to warm it up a little, resting on the counter for a couple minutes. When it's fridge cold, it tends to pipe a little less smooth, but it's still tasty. So let's go ahead and set our toppings aside and get into our pancakes. First off, we want to mix up our dries in a large bowl and add our 2 cups or 275 grams of flour, our sugar, so around 3 tablespoons or 36 grams, our baking powder, 1 teaspoon or 4 grams, and our baking soda, 1 teaspoon or 6 grams, and our salt, 2 grams or half a teaspoon, and then mix it all together lightly with a whisk. I'm holding off on our cocoa powder for this step. I prefer my pancakes plain, so I'm going to make a separate batter for myself later on. So there's chocolate pancakes for the chocolate lovers in the family, and then my batter. If you're all chocolate lovers though, add your cocoa powder in now. And now that our dries are ready as it is, we're going to mix up our wets in a separate bowl. So let's grab our sheepy milk. Total, we need around 2 cups or 438 grams of milk. I'm going to mix in some yogurt I have started. It's still incubating, so it hasn't quite reached that super thick yogurt consistency, but it is perfect for pancakes. I'm not going to use up all of my yogurt starter though, so I'm going to add some freshly skimmed sheep's milk. Now, if you want to use full fat milk or full buttermilk or full yogurt starter, that's really tasty too, and that works really well. So next up, let's go ahead and add in our egg. And for the oil step, I'm using canned sheep butter or ghee. I really like that flavor profile, but if you're using regular butter, it helps to melt it and cool it prior to adding. Or if you want to sub with your favorite mild flavor oil, that works really well too. Once we've combined the egg yolk with the rest of the liquids, we're going to go ahead and add our wets to our flour mix, and then stir until combined. For a fluffy pancake, we want to lightly mix until there's traces of flour, and then let the batter hydrate for about 10 minutes. For today though, I'm aiming for a thinner style batter. it's really easier to shape those hat shapes or hama. Hang on, let me ask. What do you call it again?
Hamantaschen.
Okay, thanks. That's it. So it's much easier to shape these pancakes as they are in a thinner batter than a fluffy white batter. Okay, so we have our two types of batters ready. I'm using a cast iron and a dry heat to make our hats. If you're using a regular pan, it helps to put a light layer of oil, to put some oil on and then wipe it off for that type of dry style non-stick heat. And then when we're pouring our batter, to help make it a little thinner, I like to treat it somewhat like a crepe, where I thin it out just a little bit, and then when there's bubbles forming in the center, I like to flip it and then very, very lightly cook it. And then pick it up while it's still warm and soft and shape it into those little trifle shapes. And then I pop it back onto the pan to cook some more and then set the shape. If it ends up being too cooked, they tend to crack, and if it's undercooked, they tend to be a little bit more raw. Next, once they're fully cooked and shaped, we're going to go ahead and set them aside and then wait for them to cool completely. If we don't, the icing will melt. And unfortunately, our cabin's super hot today. It's like 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 27 degrees Celsius inside. So the icing really is losing its shape super fast from just ambient heat alone. So I went ahead and garnished the pancakes with some grated chocolate, some oxalis leaves, and some wild mint too. The oxalis has a light lemony flavor, and the wild mint has a very robust minty flavor, but it can't compete too much with the chocolate, I think. If you want my recipe for extra fancy Cool Whip, just type Cool Whip in the comments and I'll drop the recipe. It's pretty good and easy to make, but just like with this ermine, it's very heat sensitive, probably even more so, and it is best served chilled. So this is a family favorite and I really hope you enjoy it. The recipe is in the description as well, and I hope you have a great start to your weekend. If you're entering winter, I hope you stay warm, and if you're in the throes of summer right now, sorrows and sympathies. Make sure to stay hydrated and be mindful of those symptoms of heat stroke, so don't overdo it, please. And thank you so much for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay soft, stay fluffy, and most importantly, stay true to you. Ta-tas.